I want you to picture something for a second. Think about the central nervous system in a human body.
Right.
It's this incredible, complex network sending signals absolutely everywhere. It tells your hand to move, your heart to beat.
It connects the brain to, well, everything.
Exactly. The brain is the strategy, but the nervous system, that's the execution.
It's the infrastructure of life itself.
Okay, so now think about a modern company. In 2026, it's all about automated workflows, right? These tools, they act exactly like that central nervous system. They connect sales data to AI models, infrastructure to Slack. I mean, everything is talking to everything else. It's so efficient. And honestly, it's beautiful when it works.
It is.
Until it isn't.
And that right there is the terrifying question we are asking today. What happens when someone hijacks that nervous system?
Yeah.
Because today, January 28, 2026, we are looking at a report that suggests that exact nightmare scenario is a lot closer than any of us would like to think.
It really is. We're doing a deep dive into two really critical security flaws found in n8n.
Yep. The workflow automation platform that, so many companies are using now. And these aren't just minor bugs. The researchers who found them are calling the potential impact a skeleton key to the entire corporation.
A skeleton key. Wow, that's a visceral image. It implies there are no doors left locked.
Pretty much.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We're basing our deep dive on a brand new report from the JFrog security research team, specifically calling out the researcher n8n, and we're pulling in some context from the Hacker News as well.
And what's so fascinating here, I think, is that this isn't just a story about one piece of software having a bug. It's really a story about the fundamental risks of centralization.
When you put all your eggs in one automated basket.
You better be sure that basket is bulletproof.
And apparently this basket had a hole in it, or, well, two holes. I really want to understand how a tool that I know so many people love and rely on could be this dangerous. So where do we start?
We have to start with what? The JFrog researchers found two specific vulnerabilities, and they're heavy hitters.
Okay, let's start with the big one. CVE-2026-1470. That sounds ominous.
This is the critical one. It has a CVSS score of 9.9 out of 10.
Whoa, okay, 9.9. I feel like we need to pause on that for a second. In cybersecurity, what does a 9.9 actually mean? Is that like panic now mode?
It's basically a 5-alarm fire. A 10 usually means the exploit is wormable, it can spread by itself, or it needs 0 authentication. A 9.9 is pretty much as bad as it gets while still needing some kind of login.
So the severity is maxed out.
A maximum severity, low complexity to pull it off, and the impact is total compromise.
Okay, that sets the stakes. So what does this 9.9 vulnerability actually do?
It's what's called an evil injection vulnerability.
It's evil injection. Okay, I see that term a lot.
Right.
For those of us who aren't, coding all day, break that down for us. What is evil?
So evil is a function in languages like JavaScript or Python. Well, it takes a string of text and just runs it as if it were code. Imagine you were playing a game, and instead of just following the rules, you could hand the game a note that says, rewrite all the rules. And the game just does it.
And the game just does it.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
An evil injection means an attacker can trick the system into running their own malicious code by hiding it inside what just looks like normal data. In this case, it lets an authenticated user bypass n8n's expression sandbox.
The sandbox. It's supposed to be the safe little playpen, right? Where code can run without breaking anything important.
Exactly. It's a quarantine room. You can mess things up inside the room, but you can't get out. This vulnerability, though, it basically breaks the lock on the door. The result is full remote code execution, or RCE.
RCE.
On the main node of the n8n instance.
And main node sounds like the important part.
It's the brain. If you get RCE on the main node, you're not in the sandbox anymore. You own the server. You can run any JavaScript you want. You can read files, install software, talk to other servers, you name it.
That is a very, very bad day for a system administrator. But you said there were two flaws. What's the other one?
The second one is CVE-2026-0863. This one's a little lower in 8.5, but that's still considered high severity. This one targets the Python side of n8n.
Right, because it handles both JavaScript and Python. That's one of its big selling points.
It is. So this one is another evil injection, but it attacks the Python-task-executor. Same idea, different language. It lets a user bypass the sandbox and run any Python code they want on the operating system.
So you can pick your poison. One gets you the JavaScript engine, the other gets you the Python one. Okay, now I saw something in the report that I really want to clarify because this is where I think people get complacent. You said this lets an authenticated user do this.
Yes, that's a key detail.
So I can just hear someone listening right now thinking, oh, okay, you need a login. It's an insider threat. I trust my people. Bob in marketing isn't going to hack us.
I am so glad you brought that up because that is a really dangerous assumption. Yes, technically you need to be authenticated. But think about how many credentials get stolen every day.
Phishing attacks, password reuse.
All of it. Session hijacking, credential stuffing. An attacker just needs to compromise one single standard user account.
So they steal the intern's password, log in as the intern, and then they can use this exploit.
Correct. Without this flaw, logging in as the intern only lets you do what the intern can do, maybe edit a few minor workflows. But with this vulnerability, they can escalate that limited access into total control of the server.
So it turns a low-level account breach into a complete system takeover.
That's it. The authenticated part isn't a wall, it's just a speed bump, a single step for the attacker. And once they're over it, the damage is catastrophic.
Which brings us back to that phrase from the JFrog report, the skeleton key.
It's such a powerful metaphor, isn't it?
It really is. I want to read this quote directly because it gave me chills, JFrog said. Escapes giving a hacker an effective skeleton key to the entire corporation.
And that's the whole point. This isn't just about hacking n8n. If you hack, I don't know, a calculator app, you just got hacked a calculator, who cares? But n8n is designed to connect things.
It's the glue.
It's the glue. Think about what people connect to it. The report lists them.
Yeah.
LLM APIs, so your keys to GPT-4, sales data from Salesforce, internal IAM systems, identity and access management.
Oh, wow. Okay, let's play that out. If I have n8n set up to, say, automate creating new user accounts.
A very common workflow.
And an attacker hijacks n8n.
They can just trigger that workflow for themselves. They can create a new admin account for themselves in your Google Workspace. They can give themselves access to everything because n8n has the credentials to talk to all those services. The attacker inherits all that power.
It's like stealing the janitor's keys, but then you realize that keyring has the master key to the bank vault.
And the data side, too. You mentioned LLMs. Companies are pumping so much proprietary data into these models now. Contracts, source code, strategy docs.
And n8n is the pipe that carries all that data.
If you control the pipe, you can see everything that flows through it. You can siphon it all off. The blast radius is just massive because this one tool touches everything.
And here's where it gets even more concerning, especially for the people who really tried to set this up correctly. The report mentions internal versus external execution mode.
Yeah, that's a technical detail with huge security implications.
I know n8n's own documentation warns people about this. They say, don't run in internal mode in production.
Right. They urge you to use external mode to isolate the main process, the brain, from the task runners. The workers. It's supposed to be a key safety feature.
Like having the engine room separate from the bridge on a ship.
Ideally. But what JFrog found is that these flaws can be exploited to hijack the instance, even if it's running in internal mode.
Wait, so the safety feature doesn't work here?
It doesn't save you. The vulnerability bypasses the safeguards that mode relies on. It just shows you that good architecture is important, but a fundamental code flaw can sometimes just blow right past it.
So even if you did everything right, you followed the docs, you set up the right architecture, if you haven't patched this specific bug, you're still vulnerable.
Exactly. You think you've locked all the doors, but the attacker's just walking through the walls.
Speaking of walking through walls, we have to talk about how they did this. I mean, sandboxing isn't a new idea. Why is this still so hard in 2026?
It's an incredibly difficult problem. The researcher, n8n, makes a great point in the report about how hard it is to properly sandbox dynamic languages like JavaScript and Python.
Why are they so much harder to lock down?
It's just their nature. They're so flexible, they're designed to be dynamic. And, n8n had defenses. They weren't being negligent here.
What kind of defenses did they have?
They had multiple validation layers. They had deny lists, lists of functions you're not allowed to use.
Okay, that seems pretty standard.
And they had something called AST-based controls.
AST, abstract syntax tree.
Correct. It's like diagramming a sentence for code. The system analyzes the structure of the code before running it to see if the intent looks malicious. It's not just looking for bad words, it's looking for bad grammar.
That sounds pretty robust. So how did they get around all that?
The aha moment was finding the blind spots. They used really subtle language features, and specifically, they used deprecated constructs.
Deprecated. So like old parts of the language that nobody really uses anymore.
Exactly. Old bits of syntax the language still supports just for backward compatibility, so old code doesn't break.
Hold on, let me try an analogy. It's like you have a high-security building, you have guards at the doors, you have cameras. That's your AST and your deny lists.
A solid perimeter, yeah.
But the thief realizes the architect never sealed off some old ventilation shaft from the 1990s because nobody uses it anymore. That's the deprecated construct.
That is a perfect analogy.
So the thief just climbs in through that vent. The guards are watching the doors, but nobody is looking at the old vent.
That's exactly it. And in this case, the combination of these old features and the way the system handled errors, exception handling it, confused the sandbox. It tricked the interpreter into running the payload even after the security layers had already raised a flag.
It's terrifyingly clever. You're basically social engineering the code itself.
It's the eternal cat and mouse game. The defenders build a wall, the attackers find a loose block.
And this isn't an isolated incident, is it? It feels like we've been hearing a lot about these workflow tools lately.
You have. Just a few weeks ago, Cyera Research Labs found another huge flaw in n8n. They called it n8n.
n8n, clever.
And that was a big one. Now, there is a key difference. The n8n flaw allowed unauthenticated access.
Oof. So anyone on the internet could just walk right in?
If the instance was exposed, yep, which is, technically worse. But the fact that we're seeing two major maximum severity disclosures for the same platform in the same month, it tells you something.
It tells us these tools are under a microscope.
The researchers are looking, and you can bet the bad guys are looking too. These tools are such high-value targets. Why try to hack 50 different secure apps when you can just hack the one app that has the keys to all of them?
It's the skeleton key logic all over again.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's get practical. We have listeners running n8n right now who are probably sweating. What do they need to do?
The solution is simple. You need a patch immediately.
Let's give them the specific version numbers.
Okay, for the big one, CVE-2026-1470, the RCE flaw, you need to update to version 1.123.17, 2.4.5, or 2.5.1.
Repeating that, 1.123.17, 2.4.5, or 2.5.1.
For that one, CVE-2026-0863, you need versions 1.123.14, 2.3.5, or 2.4.2.
Got it. And really, if you're running n8n, just update to the absolute latest version available. Don't even think about it.
Absolutely. And then verify. Don't just assume an auto-update worked. Go look at the version number.
This really feels like a turning point in how we have to think about these glue tools. We love the efficiency, but this centralization creates a massive single point of failure.
That's the trade-off. When you automate a workflow, you are literally drawing a map of your company's most valuable data and processes. You're telling the software, here's where the customer data is, and here's the password to get it.
And if you hand that map to software that has a hole in its pocket,
you're handing that map to the whole world.
So what's the future here? Are we just going to be patching these Inception-style vulnerabilities forever?
I think we have to accept that as long as we use these really dynamic languages that let code execute other code, that evil function, we're going to keep seeing this.
Code is in code.
Yeah. It creates all these layers of abstraction where security just gets really fuzzy. We might need to rethink how we build these critical nervous system tools from the ground up.
It really makes you think about your own setup, doesn't it? It's not just about the tool, but what the tool touches.
It raises a really important question for everyone listening, and I want you to really sit with this for a minute.
What's that?
If your workflow automation tool, n8n, Zapier, whatever you use, if it was compromised right now,
right,
exactly how many other systems would an attacker immediately get access to?
That is a very scary thought. I'm mentally counting my own integrations as we speak.
Do you even know the full list? Do you have a map of your own automated connections? Because if you don't know what's connected, you have no idea what you stand to lose.
I think a lot of people are going to be auditing their API keys after this.
I certainly hope so.
Well, on that slightly terrifying but very necessary note, we're going to wrap it up. Go check your version numbers, go patch your systems.
And know what you've connected.
Thanks for diving in with us. Stay safe out there.